Morning, everybody, and thank you for coming. Today, our group is presenting Restorative Circles in Schools, and our members are Monique Grant, Mark Lorenzo, Heather Toombs, Diane Guzman, and myself. I'm Mary Grace McManus. Next slide. Restorative dialogues come from the wisdom traditions of Indigenous people in the Americas, Africa, and South Pacific. Restorative dialogues are relational rituals that bring community members together as equals to address difficult issues. Their purpose is not to adjudicate right from wrong, but to heal divisions and reintegrate members back into the community. Their core properties are the creation of a safe environment, respect for all feelings and experiences, and inclusion of all voices as solutions are created. In about the 1990s, this process was introduced in the school system in America, and it was used to build relationships, resolve conflicts, and promote a sense of belonging and community. There are three types of classroom applications that have emerged. The community building circles, these are ones that are on a regular schedule. They have them weekly or bi-weekly or whenever they can figure it out in the classroom, and they focus on relationship building. They set a tone of trust, respect, and safety. And in these circles, students develop skills in active listening, empathy, and problem solving. The instructional circles can be used to help students reflect on more difficult concepts. They can take a piece and just talk about it. They can also learn how to collaborate with each other. And then there's solution circles. Solution circles bring conflict into the safe and supportive environment that was already created by the community circle with knowledge of how to talk about difficult issues. Students learn from their mistakes. They learn to repair relationships, and they learn how to take responsibility for their own actions. Okay, next. Our PowerPoint presentation is going to focus on the complexities of implementing a restorative program into a school district. Our activity will, we're going to demonstrate a solution circle. Okay, next. Okay, so bringing a restorative program into an entire school district requires careful planning and preparation. The first thing you're going to need is buy-in from the school district and the community. And in order to do that, you're going to need at least two, if not all three, of this category of people. The first person you're going to talk to is the prime mover. These people know how to make things happen. They're going to be, they know the working body, the governing body, and who can help you, who can move things, who can, down to who can find meeting space and chairs and volunteers to who to talk to if you really want to make a policy change. These guys are the voice of authority, but they're not necessarily in a position of authority. They believe in this change, but ultimately they're not going to be part of the implementation. So examples are like a politician, a school board member, an executive officer of the school district. Your second category is your champion, and these people are going to generate the enthusiasm. They're natural socializers, and the community really listens to them. They can share the program benefits with the community. So it's like a beloved teacher, or the active parents and active community members, the Kiwanis Club, or the Rotary Club, or Boys and Girls Club. They're the people who really can, they're just sort of the life of the community. And then the last one you want is the social influencer. This is an advocate that is really respected by the community. They're a trusted voice, and the community listens to them for guidance. These examples would be like a pastor, a chamber of commerce leader, maybe even a journalist or radio, TV personality, somebody that people listen to. So once you have buy-in, there's a whole lot of work to get started. We can do the next slide. Okay, on a district level, this is going to require a lot. It's going to require time to revise policy and discipline language. It's going to require time to train teachers, administration, and the general staff, because this is going to be a community-wide change. So it's not just teachers and students. All levels of administration and staff are going to need to be changed. We're going to have to address the changes with other partner organizations. We're going to have to talk about this with the teachers union and what does this mean to their contracts, to food services and maintenance organizations. You're going to have to bring the school board on board. There are legal considerations primarily around confidentiality and safety. And there's going to be costs for training professionals, additional staff, and teacher time to get trained is going to be costly. There are materials, and there's the rewriting of the discipline code and distributing that one. The district is going to have to develop a matrix for measuring success. They have to be open to evaluation and feedback, because this is a community creation. It's the nature of it is not to be top down, but interactive. So the entire leadership is going to have to be on board to model restorative practices at all levels. You're probably going to have to engage, you will have to engage the community, probably through dialogues. Expect resistance. The punitive method is fast and firm, and it leaves no question. The restorative method requires patience and perseverance. And then I'm going to pass the slide on to Monique.
Thank you. So we've also identified that we'll have different barriers and restrictions on the school level. Similar to the district, there's going to take a lot of time at the school. They're going to have trainings with their staff, administration, teachers, students, and the students' families, really anyone involved in the campus's community and culture, which are going to be specific to their school and how the program will be implemented at the specific school. We also know what schools, teachers, and families are coming in and out of the system at different times. So this will be ongoing. Resource allocation is a big barrier. The school will have to know if they're getting resources from the district for implementing this program. And if schools are getting funding from the district, we know those fundings may not be allocated equally between all schools. Some schools may receive more funding, other schools may receive less. Will these fundings be sustainable? Are they ongoing? And how may this impact the schools need to revisit their budget and how all of their funds are allocated at their campus? Leadership is going to have to be on board and model that to the school. And the campus community is going to have to be engaged. There needs to be platforms for engaging with the families and having open forums where the family is able to come into the space. We want to invite the families in and not go to them only if they ask for it. So this may mean having sessions within the PTA meetings where parents are already participating to make them aware, and also ensuring that we have a platform for communicating with families if one doesn't already exist, maybe like a parent square for parents that want to speak individually with the campus community and the leadership. And again, perseverance, patience, and resistance to change is going to exist on a school level. In the classroom, we'll again see other limitation or restrictions and barriers. So time is going to be another resource. We're asking all of our teachers to change their established lesson plans that they may have been using for many years to add a community building circle into their existing classroom. This is going to take practice and repetition to make this a quick transition in the classroom space for both the teacher and the student. We have to consider accessibility. So is there a physical space within the classroom to build a circle? And if there isn't, is there adequate furniture to build a circle, maybe chairs that aren't, or a carpet area for everyone to sit on and form a circle? We have to think of the the cultural considerations of both the classroom and the culture that the students are bringing to the classroom with them. The teacher is going to have to share authority with their students where they're no longer the only decision maker, but they're sharing that authority with students when conflicts arise. And again, we'll have resistance to change and have to have patience and perseverance in the classroom. As we look at all levels, so the district, the school, and the classroom, we know that there's a social and emotional barriers. So there's going to be a lot of fear, fear of change, fear of addressing conflict head on for people who want to avoid conflict. People are going to need to be vulnerable with each other in the school setting that maybe they haven't had to be vulnerable before. And there's a lot of fear of giving children agency in decision making. At the school or teacher or even district level, there's going to be fear of possible litigation, right? We will see that all the decisions for similar behavior are not going to result in the same disciplinary outcome. So what does that mean for the school or the district when outcomes are different? We know families may allege there's bias in the decision making, or possibly saying children should not be in a place to make these large decisions. And if there is a student who's known to have a history of behavior, if larger incidents occurred, what kind of liability exists for the school? Participation is going to be a barrier because we want to make sure people are considering the change and accepting it. Will people join the circles when they're created? And once they're in the circle, are they going to be engaged? Ability is going to impact us in many ways where we're asking all of our teachers and many of our staff to be facilitators. Some people may be stronger as a facilitator than others. So what does this mean for the campus community, and how can we continue to educate them so they can be more comfortable and have more skills in the area? We have to consider physical abilities for each circle we're making. So can everybody sit on the ground with their legs crossed? If they can't, do we have people who can help move furniture into a circle? And that's something we have to consider for all of our classrooms. In addition, we have to think about, other abilities such as mental abilities. If we're looking at a K through 12 district, a kindergarten age of 4 to 5 are having very different mental abilities than our 12th graders. And in between, so this is going to be fluid where people are engaging in a circle in different ways based on their age group. Also based on any learning disabilities, maybe if anybody is hearing impaired or visually impaired. We have to think of all of that while we're creating each and every individual circle within our district and classrooms. And we want to make sure that the design team is not too rigid in their plans. Are we able to be flexible and adapt to our community needs? And when things may not go as expected, do we have to slow down and really listen to what the community needs? And this also means we need to know our community, both the people in it and the system itself. We need to know the views, the values. So let's say, is this a conservative group? Is it a liberal group? Are there large religious folks in the background that, we have to consider their religious beliefs as we're creating our plan to anticipate any barriers to cultural change? So again, lots of resistance to change in such a large implementation. And lastly is the emotional intelligence, right? We're not asking people to be physically present, to be mentally present, but also to have the ability to understand each other, have empathy, be mindful of any biases that are brought to the space, and be able to read others' nonverbal cues when they're given. So really, with our implementation for a district, we're asking a whole community and everybody within the district to change their mindset and the culture of our district. But when this is successful, we will see significant benefits and impacts for our community. And Mark, if this is you, I think you need to unmute.
Actually, it's Heather, but I can certainly do it. So some of the benefits and impacts that circles bring is that it brings the community together at all levels. It has an impact with the faculty, with students, and other members of the community. One important thing to know is that we view these benefits and impacts through the lens of how do circles differ from our traditional punitive and retributive systems. And one of the ways that circles differ is that it represents the interest of all parties, and our traditional systems just don't do that at this point. The other thing that restorative circles do is it reintegrates the offender or the harmer back into the school or the community, and that's really important, because in the traditional punitive system, either the offender or the harmed is ostracized, and that exacerbates bad behavior. It doesn't allow them to adjust and understand what they did and the impact to the person that they've harmed. Another benefit that we see, and I'll have more data on this on the next slide, is reduced suspension rates, and that's really important. And if you switch to the next slide, I'll get into why that is. So, like I said, if you view circles through the lens of how they differ from traditional punitive and retributive systems, circles offer a space that's free from imposition, persuasion, coercion, and all other patterns of control. And that's really important, because that changes the dynamic, for the people involved. As a community, we have to shift away from those traditional punitive models. We see through statistical models that traditional punitive models don't work. And so what we're trying to do is really implement circles throughout the school systems to start affecting the young people, so they can receive the benefit of those circles and get out of a system that really doesn't work. So as an example, under the current zero tolerance policies that we have throughout most schools, students that are either suspended or expelled are 6 times more likely to repeat a grade in our current system. They're actually 5 times more likely to drop out in our current system. And they're 3 times more likely to have involvement with juvenile justice. And that's just really untenable. We can't continue that way. Circles, generally speaking, they improve outcomes. And I tried to focus a little bit more on the statistics behind it as opposed to anecdotal data. So a study by the Denver public school system showed that after the implementation of restorative circles, absenteeism was down by 50%. Tardiness was down by 60%. Study was done in 2009. A study of the West Philadelphia high school system showed that after implementation of restorative circles, violent acts and serious incidents were down by 52%, which is amazing. So it's certainly making schools safer. The zero tolerance policies now, and this is an amazing statistic, have contributed to tripling of the prison population from 1987 to 2007. And that's despite the decline of youth crime. So we've tripled the population over that term, while crime within youth has gone down. It's counterintuitive. So these circles are making schools safer, and they're keeping kids, out of the prison system. In terms of, misbehavior in school, in 2009, prior to the implementation of these circles, 15% of 250 students that were polled were involved in misbehavior, 15%. In 2015, after the implementation of these circles, 3%, as opposed to 15, were involved in some type of misbehavior. So there certainly is a great impact. Reduced suspensions is really a good point here. So a study by the Denver public school system showed that after implementation of restorative circles, suspensions were down between 40 and 80%, which I thought was amazing. Excuse me. The same study done in the West Philadelphia school system showed that after implementation of restorative circles, suspensions were down by 70%, which is amazing. And I found a study that was done in Pittsburgh, and it is it's an implementation of restorative practices called Pursuing Equitable and Restorative Communities Program, or PERC. And a study after that was implemented showed that overall school climates, behavior, attendance, academics, all improved, and that was all as rated by teachers. So the study was of the teachers, and this is how they felt. Implementation of restorative practices within that same program reduced the average suspension rate, and it also decreased violence in the schools. One interesting fact about that same study is that the suspension rates of African-American students and those of low-income families went down, shrinking the disparity between suspension rates between African-American and white students, which we think is critically important. So, just a quick look at that study shows that restorative circles work. And lastly, the circles create a sense of safety and belonging. According to the Chicago Peace Center, 80% of the students studied shows significant academic improvements and significant changes in behavior. According to the Flagstaff Charter Academy, 51% prior to, so if you look at it prior to the enactment of these circles, 51% said they always felt safe, or almost always felt safe. After the circles were implemented, 85% of those students said they felt safe or almost always felt safe, which we think is great because the sense of safety and belonging is critically important to success for kids in school.
Okay. So me and Mark's topic has a lot of overlap. So for the sake of trying not to be redundant, I'm just going to kind of focus on the benefits that are going to the direct individuals in the process, as opposed to the more broad view that he gave. So for the children, it promotes reintegration for perceived offenders. It builds emotional intelligence in children. It promotes emotional intelligence, conflict communication skills for the moment and lifelong. Children and the people involved learn empathy, self-regulation, maintenance of friendships. They learn how to maintain friendships, awareness, and most of all, it minimizes aggression. So that's on all levels and with all players in the game. So yeah, we could go to the next slide. So I'm going to be introducing our solution circle. The scenario is about a broken video game. It's going to be 3 students where a schoolyard fight broke out. There is Mark, who borrowed the video game from Heather and lent it to Diane without asking Heather. And then there's Heather, who thinks that Diane stole the game and is upset. And Heather's working with a lot of stuff that no one knows about. And then there is Diane, who is unaware that it was Heather's game and was caught off guard. And Diane is going through her own things. So it's just a lot of misunderstanding going on here. But next slide. So everybody open the chat so you guys can understand what's going on and see the steps of the process being narrated there.
All right. So as she said, we're going to model a solution circle. It's important to know as background, the students in this school are familiar with community building and instructional circles.
Okay, welcome to your circle. Hi, Heather, it's good to see you today. Hi, Mark, it's good to see you today. Hi, Diane, it's good to see you today. Is everybody ready to begin?
Yeah.
Thank you. So before we commence, we wish to acknowledge traditional custodians of this place and all land upon which our school and we as individuals are located. Who would like to read our land acknowledgement today? Okay. See hands from both Heather and Mark, but I'll go ahead and go with Mark. Heather, I'll keep you in mind for our next opportunity. Mark, go ahead.
Thank you. We pay respects to the Chumash elders, past, present, and future, for they hold the memories, the traditions, and the cultures of these areas, which have become a place of learning for people from all over the world.
Thank you, Mark. I would now like to take a moment before we move forward. If everyone can get comfortable, uncross your arms and legs. I invite you to close your eyes. Now breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And please keep your eyes closed if you choose to. I can feel my toes wiggling around in my shoes. I can feel my feet on the floor. I can feel my fingers pressed together. I can feel my tongue on the back of my teeth. Now I'll invite you to open your eyes again. Right. We'll now read a poem to set our tone for today's circle. I know, Heather, you volunteered to also read the land acknowledgement. Would you like to read our poem this morning? Thank you.
Okay. It's Hug a War by Shel Silverstein. I will not play at tug of war. I'd rather play at hug a war, where everyone hugs instead of tugs, where everyone giggles and rolls on the rug, where everyone kisses and everyone grins and everyone cuddles and everyone wins.
Okay, thank you, Heather, for reading that for us. I chose that poem as we open your solution circle because it's really setting the tone, right? From my understanding, there's been some tugging over some items, and really just hoping by the end of this session, we can, as a friend group, hug it out and regroup as your friends. So really, this is our first step in our conflict resolution process at our school to informally get together in your circle, which is a little different than our regular check-in schedule circles that we have. But really in this space, it's the same as our other space. This is a safe space. You're all able to share openly and honestly. And, in class, you call me Miss Grant, but here in our circle, as your circle keeper, I do want to let you know it's okay to call me Monique. That's how I prefer to be addressed here in the space, just to let you know that, I'm not making any decisions and I'm equally a peer here for all of you. So I'll go over the steps of what we'll expect in the circle today. So we'll do a check-in. Each of you will have the opportunity to share what's happened and what's brought us to the circle, and you'll all be able to reflect on what we've heard. Each of you will be able to identify the needs that you have, and then we have the possibility of repairing your friendship and finding a resolution that you can all agree on. And just remember that you all have equal voices and equal power to make this choice and the decisions that you will make today. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so I'll continue since I haven't heard any questions yet. We'll discuss our circle agreement. So these are the same agreements that are familiar to you with our check-in circles or in our daily circles that we hold. But I do think it's important for us to review our circle agreements before each circle. So we'll be talking from the heart today and using I words. So you sharing your own story and not anyone else's story. I also want everyone to listen from the heart, and we should be listening to understand the person who's speaking. So today we have a spoon as our talking piece, and our talking piece in this session is different than our normal talking piece that we use, but it's still used the same way. And whoever has the talking piece will be the one who's speaking. You'll each have your own turn to speak and have the talking piece. I've chosen the spoon for our solution circle because the spoon represents friendship, and friends like to sit and talk and laugh and share meals together. So that's what our spoon is representing today. In this space, we should all respect each other. So that goes along with speaking from the heart, talking from the heart, and remembering, your friendship. We should be non-judgmental to each other and know that we all have feelings, and it's okay that we all have our own feelings, but they may be different from how your friends are feeling, and that's okay. Just trust that you'll know what to say, and also say just enough. So say, what you're comfortable with sharing in the space. And always what we share here is confidential. So what you say here, that will stay here, but also what you learn in this space, I want you to be able to take that from this space. And as your teacher, I have certain obligations to report any crimes, especially associated with minors. So that's not different than any of our other spaces, but just wanting to remind you of my responsibilities as your teacher still. Does everyone agree to following these agreements in our space?
Yeah.
Mark, thank you. Thank you, Heather. Diane, do you agree? Yeah. Are there any agreements that someone would like to add that's not included here? No. Heather, anything you want to add? No, Mark, I see you also shaking your head. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I've got the spoon now. We'll do a check-in. So if I could be any animal today, I would be and I'm going to go ahead and pass to Heather.
I would be a lion because lions can protect, they're strong, and they can protect the things that they love, and no one can bother a lion, and they could keep the things that they have and protect them.
Heather, are you going to pass your spoon to the next person in the circle?
If I could be an animal today, I would be a bird so I can just fly away.
And Diane, looks like you're passing to Mark.
Well, I guess I'd be a monkey because I don't know. They always make people laugh, and monkeys are funny. Well, I'd be a monkey.
I think so. Thank you. I think if I could be any animal today, I would be a penguin. Okay, so thank you all for that check-in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start talking about the issue that is occurring between all of you and your friend group. And just remember that today we're going to talk about the issue. And our goal here is to reach a resolution and agreement as the first step in our conflict resolution process at the school. Is everybody ready to move into our conversation?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to pass the spoon over to Diane. So Diane, what can you tell us about, what happened, why you're here today? Just remember, to share your perspective, speak from the heart, share just enough, but also know that you'll know what to say.
We're here because Heather decided to hit me. She thought it was okay to hit me, and then we got into a fight. And I was accused of being a thief.
Okay, Diane, I do want to remind you when you're talking, to talk from your heart and use I statements. So if you want to share what's happened from your perspective, we'll have the chance for Heather to share, from her perspective as well. So, again, share what you want to share, but I know you said, so Heather hit you, Heather accused of you of stealing. Do you want to share maybe what you were accused of stealing?
A toy.
Okay. Do you want to share how you got this item, the toy you're referring to?
Mark allowed me to borrow the video.
Okay. And I know you'll know, exactly what to say that you're comfortable with. Is there anything else that you want to share now about? No? Okay, you can go ahead and pass the spoon. Let's go ahead and hear from, looks like Heather, do you want to share with us? And Diane, we can come back to you. Heather, can you tell us what happened? Remember sharing your perspective, to speak from the heart, sharing, just enough, but also trusting you'll know what to say.
She stole the game from me. So she stole my game, and then Mark lied about it, and she lied about it, and everyone's against me. So I just don't understand why everybody is always so mean to me, and I don't understand why people always take things from me. Everything bad always happens to me. So I don't, she took my things, and now she's lying about it and saying that she isn't. And they're both against me. Everyone's against me.
Heather, I do want to bring you back to the agreements of, talking from your heart and using I words and statements. So can you maybe share how you saw Diane with the video game? How did you know this was your item? I want to hear from you what's happened and not what you think about what other people are thinking or did.
I saw it had stickers, which is something that I like, but no one cares about that. I don't have many things. I have my game, I have my stickers. My stickers were on my game. So when I saw her, I knew it was mine. I don't have very many things. And the things I do have, people always take away. And then she took it away, and then she lied about it. And Mark lied about it too. And I just feel like everyone's against me. And I thought Mark was my friend. I thought he was my friend. It was my game.
Okay. So when you are saying, people lied to you, do you want to share what that looks like from your perspective? Were there things said to you, or how are you coming to that assumption?
Everyone always lies, but I don't want to tell people everything about me because no one's gonna make fun of me. But he lied and she lied. They both lied to me. I know when someone's lying to me.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause again. I know Diane, Mark, you're both, looking away or shaking your head. Just remember that you're going to please listen from your heart. Heather's perspective is just as important as everyone else's. So I do want to give Heather that respect in this space. You'll both have the opportunity to share what you want to share. So Heather, do you want to continue or share anything else? Maybe might be helpful, what did they say to you or what happened? Because I'm hearing, Diane said that you hit her. Is there anything you want to share about that?
I don't want to share anything else about it because, first of all, Mark was my friend. He's my friend and she's new. So he already likes her better than me. And no, so far as that, I don't remember everything that happened. I just blanked. I was so upset. I was so upset because why would they do this to me? And I think they're both in on it because why are they lying? I just, no one's ever on my side.
All right, so I know you said you don't want to share anymore right now, so we can come back around to you. But again, I want to know that you are going to hear Mark and Diane when they speak so they can share, their perspective of the story. So when they're speaking, I want you to listen to from the heart to be able to hear their story. And I'm going to share that same reminder for everyone in the group. To make sure that we're hearing what everyone's saying. Mark, the spoon's going over to you. Do you want to have a chance to share what brings you here? Sharing your perspective, remembering to speak from the heart, sharing just enough, but also knowing you'll know what to say.
Well, I liked the game that Heather had, and I asked if I could borrow it. And so I wanted to play the game, so I borrowed it and I was playing her game. And then Diane asked if she could see it, and I let her see the game. I let her see the game.
Okay, when you allowed Diane to borrow the game, was there anything you shared with her about, how you got the game?
No, I wanted her to think it was my game. I didn't want to tell her it was somebody else's game. I didn't say anything. I just let her play it. And then Heather hit her, and I didn't. That wasn't right. That wasn't.
Right. I hear what you're saying, and I also don't want us to judge others for what they did. Just remembering the agreements of being non-judgmental to everyone in the space.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you want to share with us, Mark, about your perspective on the incident?
I'm sorry, but that's it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's brave to say that to your friends in this space. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pass the spoon back over to Diane. Diane, is there anything that you want to share with us now about what has happened and sharing your perspective? No, and that's okay. You don't have to share anything else right now. Did you want to pass the spoon back over to Heather and give Heather another opportunity to share? And if you're not ready to pass, you cannot pass either. I do want to give you a moment to decide how you want to engage right now.
I just don't like being accused of being a thief. And I feel like Heather's being really, really mean.
Okay. So again, I just want to remind you to our agreements of, speaking your own words. So I know you didn't share very much the first time around. Is there anything you want to share now about the incident and what occurred and how you're feeling about it?
I just, no, I don't like being accused of being a thief. And I feel like Heather is being mean. And I feel like she was being mean when she hit me and caused us to be in a fight.
Okay. Do you want to share more about what happened when you got hit? Like, where did you get hit? Were you hurt? Are you feeling okay now?
She hit me in my face. Yes, I was hurt, but I had to protect myself, and then it led to us being into a fight. And I can't get into any fight. I can't get into any fight.
Is there anything else that you want to share with us about, the fight or the game or what happened when you got hit beside you? I'm hearing that you responded in kind, which may have caused a larger fight. So did anything happen to the game at that point? Or maybe what was your intentions of holding on to the game in that moment?
I only borrowed the game from Mark, and I was going to give it back to him. And that was the only reason why I had it, so that I could return it to him. But then Heather seen me with it, and she came up to me and accused me of being a thief, and then she hit me in the face.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing. Is there anything else that you want to share with us now?
No.
Okay, we'll go ahead and pass the spoon back over to Heather. Heather, is there anything else that you want to share about the incident? I know you had mentioned, you saw Diane with your game because it had the stickers, and then you're not really sure what happened after that. Perhaps you're remembering something different after hearing your friends share their story, or if there's anything else that you want to share.
No, she's a liar.
Okay, well, again, we're not making any judgments here. We're just trying to hear from everyone what happened. Okay, before we move forward, is there anything else that anyone wants to share about what happened?
No.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just, talk about some of the facts that we've heard from all of you. And the issue that we're discussing here. So we have a video game. The video game had stickers on it. Mark borrowed that game from Heather. Mark then proceeded to allow Diane to borrow the game. Heather saw Diane with the game, and there was a physical altercation that occurred between Diane and Heather. Was there anything else that happened that maybe I didn't get? Did the game get returned to Heather? Does Diane or Mark still have the game? Does anyone want to talk about that piece? I'm not sure I heard that.
I don't have the game.
Okay.
Heather took it.
Heather, is that true?
Oh, it broke.
Okay.
Because of them, it was their fault.
Okay, well, again, we're not going to place any blame right now. We'll get to resolving this, but okay, how can you tell me about how it broke? Is it unable to be used at all?
Let them tell you.
She dropped it.
Okay, Diane, so it dropped somehow. And
Dropped.
okay, so I just want to know, what happened to the game. I don't want to know, who caused that. From each of you, passing judgment on each other. So the game doesn't work, it's broken. Is that correct? Is that something we can all agree on? Yes. Okay, so I'll just again go over the facts that seem like everybody can agree on. Video game had stickers on it that were started with Heather. Heather let Mark borrow that. Mark let Diane borrow it. Heather saw Diane with her item. There was a physical altercation between the two of them. And at some point during the physical altercation, the game broke. And is that something we can all agree on? Okay. Okay, well, thank you all for, being brave enough to sit here with each other and talk about, a very difficult situation in your friendship. And I'm glad that we're all able to agree on at least the facts of what's occurred. Now I'd like to just, spend some time reflecting on each other's experiences within the circle so far. So I'm just going to pass the spoon over to Mark. Mark, you've got the spoon now. What did you hear, Heather say when she was speaking? So, what she shared and maybe what she was feeling.
I heard her say that she thought Diane stole her game. I think I heard her say that she was mad. And I think she said she was mad because she thought Diane stole it.
Heather, does that sound like Mark heard you correctly?
A little.
A little. Do you want to share maybe what he's missed?
I just don't think that Mark has been a good friend.
So maybe Mark, you heard some of the other things she said, but you may have, not heard everything. How are you feeling about that?
I'm sad. She's my friend, and I want her to be my friend.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's, difficult to hear when we may have disappointed one of our friends. But I'm glad you can understand that. Okay. I'm going to ask the same question of Diane. So you want to pass that spoon over to Diane. Diane, can you share what you've heard Heather say and maybe how Heather felt?
I heard Heather saying that all she has is her stickers and her video game. But I also heard her say that everybody lies to her. And she doesn't like that everybody lies to her. But that isn't true. Everybody doesn't lie to her.
Is there anything that you want to share about how that made you feel?
I guess kind of sad because if she feels like all she has is her stickers and video games, I don't want her to ever think that I would steal anything of hers, especially things that she finds so valuable. But also angry because she accused me of being a liar. She accused Mark of being a liar. And if anything, he was just being a really good friend to both of us, and especially me. And it makes me feel protective because he's not a liar and I'm not a liar either.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I'm just going to check in with Heather. I know Diane responded a little bit about how it made her feel, but what she heard you said, was that an accurate understanding of maybe what you've said or and how you were feeling?
Yeah, but she still has it wrong because it's like she's new here. So it's just like she doesn't know. She doesn't know.
Okay. Well, we'll still, remember our agreements that, you should only speak for yourself. You don't know what Diane feels. But we'll have some more time to discuss that. Now, Heather, I'm going to go to you and ask you, what you heard Mark say when he was speaking, and maybe what you heard him feeling, what he's heard he was feeling.
I think he probably feels a little bad. I just wish he would have thought about me.
Thank you. Mark, do you agree with, Heather's statement about how you felt?
I do.
Okay, Diane, I'm going to ask you the same questions about Mark. So what did you hear Mark say when he was talking, and what was he feeling?
I just think that he was just trying to be a good friend and he cares about what I think about him. He was just trying to be nice to me. Maybe because I'm new here and because we're really good friends. So thank you, Mark. I appreciate that.
Okay. Mark, is that an accurate understanding of how you felt?
Yeah, I like Diane. She's nice.
Okay. Thank you. And now I'm going to go and Heather, let's start with you and ask questions about what you heard Diane say and what Diane may have been feeling.
I don't know. She probably feels misunderstood, but she just doesn't understand because she's new, and she just doesn't know about my life. So I don't know.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to share with your friends about your life? I mean, and again, share what you want to share, but I just wanted to check in that moment.
It's just that's one of the only things that I had that made me happy. I don't have very many things, so that's all that I had.
Okay, Diane, what Heather shared about what you said, is that an accurate reflection of what you said and how you were feeling?
No, she keeps saying that I don't understand, but I'm not sure what I'm not understanding. I don't know. I'm new here, but I don't know what I'm not understand. I feel like maybe she has deeper issues that she's not telling us.
Okay, well, I don't want to, speak for anyone else, or, you can only speak for yourself and what your understanding was. So what I'm hearing from you is that you still don't think Heather understands what you've
She has
shared.
yet to acknowledge the fact that I don't like that she hit me in the face that caused the
Okay.
fight. She has yet to acknowledge what she has done. And she has yet to acknowledge the fact that I said I don't like to be called a thief.
Okay, so what you're saying is you believe that Heather hasn't heard what you've said, because that's
Yeah.
what we're trying to
Mhm.
do here, is to make sure that you're all hearing each other. Um, so Heather, is there anything that maybe you're hearing differently now that you've heard Diane's response in regards to what Diane shared and what Diane was feeling?
No, because she's nosy and I don't have to tell her everything. You just don't take people's things. And I'm trying to be nice, but I feel like she's being rude.
Okay. Okay. Well, I want to interrupt here a little bit and just remember to talk from the heart and listen from the heart. So it sounds like the two of you are still not understanding each other. And I do want to make sure that we can be respectful to each other. Okay. So before I might just take a step back before we continue proceeding, is this still the method that you all want to try and resolve the conflict through? Do you think that you can both really try and hear each other and resolve this conflict between the two of you? Is that still what you want to do?
I think we should move on. I think I understand where she's coming from, and I've acknowledged it. I think she understands where I'm coming from, and I'm okay with that.
Okay. Thank you for that, Diane. It's a very, mature response for our student. Diane, do you think you're understanding, or Heather, do you think you're understanding Diane enough to move forward right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Mark, I'm going to ask you the same set of questions about Diane. So, what did you hear Diane say, and how did you hear Diane say she was feeling?
I heard Diane say that she got hurt when Heather hit her in the face, and that she wants Heather to say that she's sorry for doing it, and that she's not a thief. And that's what Diane was saying, and Heather's still saying the same thing, that we stole it and we didn't steal it. But I know that the game was it's important to Heather, and she's probably mad that it's broke.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Diane, is this an accurate understanding of how you feel? Okay. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate all of you for sharing, and being brave in this space that we have. So now we're just going to reflect a little bit on, right? We've talked about what occurred. We've talked about what we heard everybody share. And we've talked a little bit about this, but we'll go a little deeper. I'm going to start with, maybe just ask one of you if you want to start. I feel like we're communicating a little bit better now. So how do you think the way that you chose to handle the situation affected your friends? Does anyone want to start with that question? Mark?
Well, I shouldn't have lent the game to Diane, and I should have told her that it wasn't mine, and I made her get punched in the face, and Heather's mad, and so I feel like I did the wrong thing, and I'm sorry that I did the wrong thing, and I should have been honest with both of them.
Thank you for sharing that and reflecting on, your behaviors that contributed to the situation. Diane or Heather, do either of you want to share how you think the way you chose to handle the situation affected your friends? I see Heather's got the spoon, so we'll go with Heather.
I think that I did what I needed to do to protect myself from that. maybe I moved fast, but I feel like I just defended myself and my things.
Okay, so I'm hearing you say, how you handled the situation, but how do you think that affected your friends?
Probably hurt them, but I was hurt too.
Thank you. Diane, do you want to answer the same question? How do you think the way you chose to handle the situation affected your friends?
I think I handled it very well. I tried to explain the situation to Heather before I was hit in the face. And at that point, I was just protecting myself. At this point, Heather isn't my friend. My only friend is Mark. So
Okay,
I didn't
but
do anything to hurt Mark.
okay. I would like you to try and reflect on the question. So how do you think that affected your friends, even if you may choose not to maintain friendship with one or
So
the
I
other?
think that
How,
it affected my relationship with Mark because I feel like I put him in a bad predicament.
okay.
Um,
And do you think Heather was affected at all by how the any of your behaviors?
but I didn't do anything wrong. I borrowed the game that I believed was Mark's.
But do you think that could have affected Heather at all? I know you also both shared that you both hit each other. Do you think that could have being hit
I was only
could have
protecting
hurt
myself.
her as well?
I was
Okay.
only protecting myself.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is that um, you don't believe the way you handled the situation affected Heather at all. Is that correct?
I don't think it affected her as much as it affected me.
Okay, so I'm hearing you say you do believe that there was some effects. What are some of those effects? I'm not asking you to compare and judge who was hurt more, but I do want to know that.
I guess it made her angry that I had the game. That's what I know because she hit me.
Thank you for sharing that. Even though it's hard to reflect on ourselves and how we may have played a role in a conflict, it is, good to see that all of you are able to reflect on your own behaviors and take some kind of accountability in the conflict, because it's from what I've heard, is that you were all impacted in different ways. So I'm glad that you were all able to hear that. Does anyone have any questions that they want to ask of each other? And at this point, what I'm going to say is that we can, put the spoon down and ask questions as they're coming up. But if we're not able to follow the agreement and respect each other, I might ask us to bring our talking piece back in. So go ahead and ask them if you have any questions for each other, or, if you want to ask about, anyone's feelings or anyone's experiences that you've heard.
No.
Okay. Okay, so we'll move on to the next portion of our circle. So what we're going to do is start talking about, our needs. So I think I'm just going to ask the question now that we don't have the spoon. Whoever wants to start talking first, please go ahead and do so. What do you need from this situation?
Yes. I want them to be friends with me again. I want Heather to be my friend. I like Heather, and I don't want her to be mad at me, and I want her to be my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
I need an apology for being kicked, and I need for Heather to stay away from me moving forward. I don't want to be around her. I could hang out with Mark without her because Mark is my friend and I'm his friend, but I just want an apology for being hit. And I just don't want to surround myself with somebody who's capable of just hitting their friend.
Thank you for sharing your needs. Heather, do you have any needs?
Well, I just need for Diane to just shut up. And yeah,
Okay, well, I'm going to stop you there. Let's be respectful to each other and use respectful language to each other. You can share in other ways that you may not agree with Diane, but we're not going to speak to each other like that.
yeah. And for Mark to understand that I just didn't know. I didn't know. And I would like to be friends with Mark.
Is there anything else that anybody needs from this situation? So I'm hearing a lot of emotional needs, right? Of being friends or not being friends, receiving apologies. But is there anything else that's needed from this situation from anybody?
I want my game.
Okay, any other needs? Okay, so I'm just going to reflect on what we've heard. So I'm hearing Mark. Mark wants a friendship with both of you, right? But really he's hoping to reestablish that relationship with Heather. Diane, the only thing Diane is asking for is an apology. But then also she's expressed that she does not want a friendship to be reestablished. And Heather, seems like it may be mutual that friendship, at least right now, between the two of you, there's not a desire for that friendship to be reestablished. But also, Heather, you want your game somehow that was broken throughout the incident. Am I hearing all of you correctly? Yeah. Is there anything that I've missed? Okay. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move forward in the process. So what we're going to look at here is, is there anything that anyone wants to say directly to another person about what happened that you haven't already shared? Maybe by, sharing what you may be able to offer to your friend or any promise that you might be able to keep to your friend in the future.
I promise not to give away something that was given to me, as she trusted me with it, and so I won't do that again.
Thank you for that, Mark. Heather or Diane, is there anything that you want to say directly to another person, or anything you want to share about your future with your friends?
I'll try to understand Mark more and not get mad so fast.
Diane?
Have anything else to say?
I'm sorry, what was that? Can you speak up a little bit so we can all hear you?
No, I don't have anything else to say.
Okay, does anyone have anything else that they want to add before we move on into trying to create some solutions? Okay, so in this portion of the circle, we're going to try and figure out how we can meet, these needs that you're all saying that you have, that you want to be met. So I do want to start this time by asking Mark and Diane, what could either of you offer to help meet Heather's needs? I think what Heather shared was that one, she wants her game back. She would like that replaced. And her other need was to be understood and knowing that she's not going to get mad as easily. That's something that she's going to need some help with.
My mom and dad said they would pay for a new game, but I have to do chores. I have to paint my fence. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but I mean, I don't think it was all my fault, but I think my mom and dad will buy a new one.
Heather, is there something? Oh, go ahead. I'll let both of you create
Mark,
your
I can
solutions.
come over
Okay.
and help you paint your fence. So I think that would be fun. It doesn't have to be a chore. We could just be friends hanging out and painting fence together. But I don't have any money to help pitch in, but I can help you paint your fence.
Okay, I see Mark's smile. It looks like you're both willing to turn this chore into a fun time. Heather, it looked like you wanted to say something. Is there anything you want to add here?
I feel sad and happy at the same time.
Do you want to share more about that comment?
Because I feel sad that I was so mean and now he wants to help. And I'm happy that I know that he really cares about me and that I didn't know that Diane will help to fix the situation. Now I feel sad for being so mean, but I'm happy that I think that people are trying to be nice to me.
I know you said that, it's causing some emotions. Do you think, there's any way you might think about helping in the situation, or joining this fun fence painting day that Mark and Diane have planned?
No, I don't want to be around her.
No. Okay.
I don't feel safe around her.
Heather, is there any thought you have about the question that I had for you? So it sounds like, right now, do you all agree on that? So Mark will pay for the game with money his parents give him. Diane and Mark will paint the fence together. Is that one agreement that we have? Okay. I know one more agreement or unmet need of Heather's is to be understood and not, get angry as quickly. Is there anything that we can think of for creating an agreement that can help meet that need?
I guess I'll try to not move so fast next time I don't understand or I'm mad at something. But sometimes this is hard for me because bad things always happen to me. But if I don't know everything, I will try to go slower next time.
Okay. And are there any steps that you've thought of that can help you slow down in those moments?
Like I like what we did in the beginning where we take breaths because I thought it was stupid, but it helped me a little. So maybe if I try to do stuff like that or do the counts, or maybe it will help me. So I might try that. And if you show me how to do more things like that, maybe I could try instead of getting so mad so fast.
Thank you, Heather. So I will add that as one of the agreements, and we can schedule time for the two of us to meet to talk about ways for emotion regulation and de-escalation tactics. So we can definitely do that. Okay, I'm going to move over to Mark's needs. So Mark, I know you said you needed friendship, and specifically, friendship with Heather. So does anyone have any ideas that they can bring forward about maybe some kind of agreement we can have around, the goal of having friendship in this group?
Oh, I think that if Heather says she's sorry to Diane and Diane can accept her apology, then we can be friends. And I think that's the best way to do it. So I think they need to say they're sorry, and Heather can have a new friend because Diane's really nice, and so I think they should say they're sorry.
Okay, so I'm hearing Mark share, that he values friendship with both of you, and he would like to see if the two of you can be open-minded to rebuilding a friendship. And that's Mark's need. It's not my need. So I want to hear maybe how the two of you feel about that. Diane or Heather, there you go.
I don't know if she'll forgive me, but I really like Mark. So since I like Mark, I will really think about my actions. And I know that we're not supposed to put our hands on other people because that's wrong. So I'm sorry for doing that to Diane. And I don't expect her to be my friend. She doesn't have to, but I really care about Mark and I respect him. And I know that even though bad stuff happens, that you're still not supposed to put your hands on people. I just didn't handle it right, even though I was hurt. So I'm sorry.
That apology, because it doesn't sound sincere to me. It sounds like she's only doing it to so that she doesn't lose one of her other friendships. And she put me in a predicament that could really and can really affect my life. I might have to leave my foster home because I got into a fight at a new school and I'm tired of moving from foster home to foster home. And she accused me of being a thief. So it's bigger than just something that an apology can fix. I don't feel safe around her because I have a history of violence in my family and abuse. And she really did hurt me. She didn't just hurt me physically, but she hurt me mentally and emotionally. And I just can't do that. It doesn't sound like her apology is sincere. And even if it was, I have to put my well-being first. And they always say if somebody shows you who they are the first time, you have to believe them. And I can't believe that something else might happen and she's going to change and not put her hands on me. And if she does, even if I don't leave my foster home this time, what if I get removed the next time? I can't do that.
Thank you for being brave in this space and sharing, very personal information. Heather, how does what Diane just shared make you feel, and anything you want to tell her directly?
And it just makes me feel like I already know I did something wrong. So it just makes me feel like everything else in life where somehow I always end up on the bad side. But I know that what I did was wrong and that we don't have to be friends. I just know that. And it wasn't just for Mark that I said sorry. I said sorry because I know it's not right to put your hands on other people, but we don't have to both think the same. We could all think different. And Mark could spend time with her, and then he could spend time with me at different times, if that's fine, as long as everybody is okay. And I already said I'm sorry, so I hope her foster care doesn't move her, but if it does, I'm sorry.
Well, I appreciate your apology. It sounded more sincere that time. As long as you know that hitting people isn't okay, then I'm okay with accepting your apology. I can't say that we could hang out soon, but I don't know what the future holds. Maybe we can build trust again and I could be around you if I don't have to leave my foster home and I continue to stay here and at this school.
Sorry, I lost my signal, but I'm back.
I accepted your apology. And maybe we can build a friendship later on if I don't have to move.
Right, good. Sounds like we've at least had a mutual understanding of each other, and glad to hear that you both better understand each other. And so we have an agreement here of at least, making attempt and potentially in the future of being friends if you agree to that, but also it sounds like, the two of you will at least be able to be okay with each other in the same space. Is that what I heard? And, from what your needs were, Diane, your needs were that you needed an apology, and your needs were that you wanted Heather to stay away from you. Just from this conversation, are those needs met now, or do you have something else that another need that needs to be met?
No, they have been met.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. What I'll do now is I'm going to go ahead and write our agreement that this conflict has been resolved. The agreements that we have are Mark paying for the game, and Heather or Diane and Mark will paint the fence. Diane or Heather is going to meet with me and have some conversations about managing emotions and de-escalation tactics. Diane, you've confirmed that your needs have been met by an apology, and you no longer have the need of staying away from Diane. Does everybody agree to this? Okay. And has everybody's needs been met, or was there a need that hasn't been met? No. Okay, so I'm going to pass this agreement around the circle for all of you to sign, and this will document that we've had this informal solution circle to resolve your conflict. But if the conflict is ongoing and the agreements that you're signing to aren't met, please come back to me and we can have another circle, or if it's appropriate, we'll move it through a formal resolution process through our disciplinary code. If new conflicts arise and you would like another solution circle to be formed, please let me know. Does anybody have anything to add before we close the circle? Okay, can we all just go around? Whoever wants to go start and say one thing that you appreciate about each person.
I appreciate how nice and fun that Mark is and that he's really smart. I appreciate that Diane is gonna try to give me a new chance. So that means that she's nice and I appreciate that.
Who wants to go next? That was very nice, Heather.
I appreciate that Heather's my friend and that she is still going to be my friend. And I appreciate that, that Diane is going to help me paint the fence, and she's going to help me fix this, and that she's going to be my friend. And that's it.
Thank you, Mark. Diane?
I appreciate that Heather apologized for putting her hands on me, and I appreciate that Mark was able to really just be a good friend and defend me and understand where I was coming from. And he's really good at being friends to everybody, both me and Heather. So I appreciate that.
And I appreciate all of you for being brave in this space. I've seen all of you grow from the beginning of the process. And I hope that you'll have learned something that you can take with you. I also want to remind you that I'm here and available if there's anything that you want to discuss individually, whether that's, how you're feeling now or, based on anything that you've shared in the story. So before we close the circle, just want us to all, do our closing ritual. If someone wants to give us a count, Heather, do you want to give us the count?
1, 2, 3.
What's
What's
said
said
here
here
stays
Stays
here.
stays
here.
here.
What's
What's
learned
learned here
leaves.
leaves here. Right. Thank you, everyone. Our circle's closed.
So, good morning.